Riot Games will pay $10 million to settle a gender discrimination lawsuit. Halo, the Master Chief Collection, has topped the Steam sales charts. Microsoft has no plans to include VR in their next consoles. And Lil Bub, everyone's favorite internet cat, has passed away at age 8. But first, we get nostalgic as Sony celebrates 25 years of play. This is Arcadian Insight. Welcome to episode number 40 of Arcadian Insight. So today's show is obviously going to be about PlayStation's 25th anniversary. I actually cannot believe that it's been 25 years of PlayStation. It seems like that is way, way too long. We're getting way too old. But it's been 25 years of amazing consoles, games, and experiences. I had the PS1 when I was younger. Kind of later, I didn't buy it up front. I had the N64, but my cousin had given me a console. I had PS2 like right when it came out. I loved that console to death. Did not have PS3 or PS4 though, unfortunately, but they did have a ton of exclusives that I wanted to play. I think before we get too reminiscent and like go through these consoles and these games that Sony has come out with and that have been exclusive on the PlayStation, I really wanted to start with an official statement that was posted on the PlayStation blog from Sony president and CEO Jim Ryan. I think that makes the most sense. We can kind of get a feel for what they're thinking as 25 years have hit and also where they're headed and maybe what they're thinking for 25 years in the future. Before we go to that quote, just a reminder, if you really like the show, go to patreon.com/Arcadian Media and consider donating to support the show. And also, if you do listen on iTunes, consider leaving us a 5-star review. It goes a super long way and helps us out a ton. But here's the quote from Sony President and CEO Jim Ryan. On December 3rd, 1994, 25 years ago this week, the first PlayStation made its global debut in Japan. Starting from a humble beginning as an upstart within Sony, Ken Kuratagi and team delivered on a vision to elevate video games as a form of entertainment that everyone could enjoy and to make a platform for game developers to express their creativity. The original PlayStation sold 100,000 units in Japan on its first day and went on to become the first ever home console to surpass 100 million units sold globally. We struck a chord with the gaming community because PlayStation offered experiences beyond what anyone could ever imagine was possible with a home console. From the very start, we opened our arms to developers, providing them with the tools and technology to create beautiful, expansive worlds and to experiment with new ideas. That approach led to the diversity of games PlayStation is known for, a true hallmark for our brand across multiple generations of hardware platforms. So, like I said before that quote, Sony and PlayStation have had such an enormous impact on my life, just from some of the franchises that they've had on their consoles. Um, let's just talk about some of the best games and memories that you've personally had on the PlayStation and what you think that they're most memorable for.
Do we have to start with Final Fantasy VII? Because I mean, that's got to be. I feel like that wasn't that the game that kind of like put PlayStation on the map.
Either that or Crash Bandicoot.
Well, I mean, that was also a great game. There was a
Look
lot
at
of great
Josh.
games, but
Look at Josh.
I don't know. I mean, do you guys remember when Final Fantasy VII released? Like the media attention that got, even for the time. You know what gaming media looked like way back when. But on that game's release and what it had done for graphics in general, and on top, aside from the story and everything else, the game being pretty damn decent, but graphically, it just like made everybody lose their fucking minds. And you look back at it, they're so polygony, and like they got those big blocky like hands and arms and shit. Yeah, there's like not much. I mean, when you compare 7 to 8 and then 9, they came a long way in one generation. But it's funny to think
it is hard. It is hard to go back and replay those. I'm actually really glad that they're doing the remake because, I mean, obviously everybody's going to love it. It's a game and a story that should be remade. But yeah, like if they wouldn't have done that, it is hard to go back. I had tried to play FF7. I want to say like 3 years ago on Steam, and there's definitely like a barrier there for me, a graphical barrier where like I just cannot get into it. I don't care how good the memories are or how good the story is, I just can't. It's hard to play. It really is.
Really?
Yeah, I have that graphical barrier with games.
Damn,
I
dude.
really do.
That
I know
one,
it
that one
sucks.
I
It does
can.
suck.
Unreal.
I played through it probably 6 or 7 times, which probably isn't much compared for how long it's been out. But the graphics are one thing that really don't bother me about a game.
Mm. Oh, I told you I never beat it. We talked about this on a previous episode, but I
I
got stuck.
remember. I
The
remember you
beginning of
playing it
disc
in
3.
college. Yeah, you were.
Beginning of disc 3, PS1. Um, I think it was beginning of disc 3. It was either the very end of disc 2 or the beginning of disc 3, and I was driving the ship around in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
I could not find where to go. I'd already done a ton of things in the
I know
ship.
exactly what you're talking
I was
about.
all
Yeah.
over the map. Like I had done a ton of things, and it was like weeks. I was just driving around, and
It was
eventually
just-
I just put
yeah.
it down.
Yeah, you probably could have looked in a guide, at that point, but
I should have. I should probably should have. Yeah, I think you're right.
Sucks to suck, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really missed out.
Well, I'll play the remake in like 10 installments whenever it comes out.
Speaking of which, I guess they started development on part 2.
Oh, Final Fantasy VII.
Mm.
So you're talking about
Yes.
the I don't know, this hype that's been building up for this game, for how what they released the trailer for that with the PS3. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but we are talking about Final Fantasy VII here. God, that's. I mean, you could have told me that was 25 years ago. I would have believed you. Like
The
I
PlayStation
feel
3.
no, that Final
Oh.
Fantasy VII, like the fake trailer for Final Fantasy VII to like promote the PS3 that everybody was freaking out about.
Oh, do you remember that? Yeah, well, obviously you do. You brought it up.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, but that was that was at E3 the one year, right? Because I think that's when it
was.
premiered. I remember.
Everyone was freaking out about it, and it wasn't for another few years that they decided, like, okay, yeah, we're actually gonna make this thing. Like, it's been a long ass time. That was probably what, like 2007 or 8 ish, like around there, maybe 9 when that
Yeah.
actually like popped up.
I honestly like I think you're right that FF7 is probably the most memorable game on that PS1. But like for me, I think that Crash Bandicoot and Spyro are probably the games that I liked the most when I was younger, at least. And like that sold the console for me more. I don't know, dude. Crash is a lot of fun. Like Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, I
and,
love Crash.
Crash Bandicoot Warped.
Warped was amazing.
Yeah, and Spyro 1 and Spyro 2.
Yeah, like
those
for
were
me,
good.
for me and my brothers, we played a shitload of Spyro.
Spyro.
It's like cool to be like the little fucking dragon and like the cartoony dragon, like killing all the bad guys. As like a kid, that was really cool. We played Final Fantasy VII too, but
Did you beat
really,
it?
but I mean, you mentioned all these games, but you forget the one like
Here we-
hallmark game
here we
that
go.
actually made everything what it is today.
Hmm.
And that game is called Ape Escape.
Ape Escape.
I'm absolutely appalled that it did not make the list. Oh,
Was the original on PlayStation 1?
yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Ape Escape.
I'm
Man,
sorry.
If your vote ain't Twisted Metal, then just get out of here.
I remember Twisted Metal. Yeah,
Twisted Metal was a shit.
it was good.
Yeah, 1 through 4.
I love
Dig
Twisted
through
Metal.
the
The first one
ditches.
was amazing.
Yeah, Rob Zombie on it.
Yeah. Well, the first
That
one's
fucking-
bad guy was Darkseid was the final boss, and then I think number 2 was, I don't know if it was Minion or can't remember.
Okay.
Who did you drive as if you got the chance?
Oh, I cheated and used Minion every time.
Nice.
Sweet Tooth was the man.
Sweet Tooth. Was that the ice cream
Yeah.
truck
Yeah,
with
he was
the
like a clown.
clown? I think I was Was it Roadkill? Was that one?
The
It was like
Yeah.
the gray car with the.
Mm.
Warthog
I'm
was
talking
the Humvee, and that's who I played as when I wasn't cheating.
Yeah, Warthog. Yeah,
I
we
have-
always played as him.
Fond memories of that last. I think the last mission of that. Or couldn't you like get out onto the highway, like when the boss was coming, and just fucking being terrified and just driving that highway for like that level lasted me like 35 minutes every time I did it. Just like, all right, he'd like the boss would be like roaming around the map looking for me. I don't think he like ever came out there on the highway.
Yeah.
He's gonna
Oh,
get
fucking
you.
Mr. Grimm, the dude on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Axel was the guy with the 2 giant.
Yeah,
eyes.
Axel.
I was Axel a good bit, yeah.
Giant fucking wheels. He's just like strapped in.
I remember a map with like the Eiffel Tower. I don't know why that
Yeah, you
stands
could
out
knock
for me.
it
Maybe I
down
played
and
it.
it turned into
Yeah.
a giant ramp.
Yeah.
Now this was on Xbox, and I played it more on Xbox, but I did play it on PlayStation, so I feel like I'm just gonna bring it up anyway. But Gauntlet Legends, Dark Legacy.
Gauntlet was really good. Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
played it in the arcade, Gauntlet.
I was gonna say it's more of an arcade game, wasn't it?
Wasn't Blitz a
Historically.
PlayStation 1 game? That was a
Blitz
big
what?
one too.
Dude,
Yeah.
Blitz was that was
Blitz-
hard too.
Blitz
Do you ever
Ball?
beat Blitz? Like you had to like be amazing at the game to I've never seen like the ending. You had to get some like ridiculous thing. You have like a party or something at the end if you do well enough. I could never have the party.
What the fuck is Blitz?
NFL
Blitz,
Blitz.
NFL Blitz.
Oh, NFL Blitz.
Oh
Fucking
my
Cordell
God.
Stewart
You could've
sitting
said
there.
so. Yeah,
Cordell
yeah.
Stewart's eating the chains and shit.
I know
at
what
the-
NFL Blitz is. All right, all right.
Yeah.
Everybody's like
everybody-
giving like the people's elbow, like when the play's
Yeah.
over.
Sorry, I didn't know you meant
Boo,
NFL
Wendy.
Blitz. Okay, I know what it is.
Wendy.
Take it easy.
Boo, Wendy, boo.
Did you ever play Metal Gear Solid 1, the original?
a little bit.
Like the old ones for NES or
No, PlayStation.
okay. No, I never played the first one.
They were too hard for me when I was that age when they came out. It was it's too young for that shit. That one was too hard. I remember I had a friend that played like Silent Hill and Resident Evil and stuff. Those were like
Yeah.
a little bit too involved. Like those were amazing. Resident Evil, the first one.
Yep. 2 and 3 were amazing too. Oh, and 4.
Listen to me.
I'm not saying like it was like, the
Resident
greatest
Evil.
game of all time, but like what they did for gaming, like horror genre game. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I can't think of anything really before. I mean, any like nothing against like Super Nintendo and Sega and stuff like that, but it was hard to get that like sense of like dread and horror just with like the limitations of the technology at the time.
There was a lot of Mortal Kombat that came out for PlayStation 1. Shaolin, Monk, I think. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I think Mortal Kombat 3.
Tekken 1, 2, 3.
Soul Calibur.
Tekken,
Soul
holy
Calibur.
shit. So I mean, they're like all these games are named like franchises that really haven't gone away. Like how they're like immortalized.
Oh, we can't forget
Yeah,
about
and they
the booth.
started. Huh?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, they started so long, 25 years ago. You know, maybe 20 years ago. Who knows? Whenever they like actually released on the console, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're like still everyone's favorite games, especially Final Fantasy. I mean, people like buy PlayStations just to play Final Fantasy or like Kingdom Hearts for PS2. It's insane.
Fair enough.
Was it Tomb Raider? Wasn't that another big one?
Which is still incredibly popular today. I mean, what they did. I mean, these games. I don't know if they'll ever die. They're too like iconic now. They're like when you think about. I mean, you know, sure there was like fighters and horror games before, like Tekken and Resident Evil and stuff like that. But I just can't. I can't imagine a day where, like, all right, we're calling it quits. Like, no more Final Fantasy. Like, we're done,
Yeah, well,
guys. Pack it up.
No, people would riot.
They would.
Like the streets would burn.
The games haven't even been that good as of like recent. But
15
still
looked
want them.
15 looked good.
It did
It's still gorgeous. Like to play it, it's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. But the gameplay is just so repetitive. Oh my god! If I have to get in like the limo one more goddamn time.
yeah.
Yeah. Customizing the limo is a lot of fun though.
The limo. It's like a sports car.
No, dude, it's like a
Limo.
you can fit like 20 people in that thing.
You could, yeah.
Mods, you get
It's like Corella
party.
DeVille's vehicle, except black. Yeah.
it is a little bit. Yeah, you could fit like 101 Dalmatians in it. It's fucking huge.
Is that the secret story to what they were actually doing?
I think for PS2, and I just tweeted about this earlier today, and but like my fondest memory of PS2, this is one of my favorite consoles other than N64. I loved PlayStation 2, but I remember there was a Christmas where I got Ratchet and Clank Going Commando and Jak 2. I got them on the same Christmas morning, and I literally thought to myself, like, man, I'm never gonna need another game ever again. Like, I could literally play these two games until I die. I was very, very wrong. My Steam library right now would say very, very differently. But like, I think that just shows like how like highly I thought of both those franchises and just like how excited I was to get them. Like they really left a mark on my childhood. The Jak and Daxter series and Ratchet and Clank, man, they're fucking so good.
Rayman. Did you ever play Rayman?
I have played Rayman.
That was
Yeah.
PlayStation
was a good
1, though,
game.
wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah, PlayStation 1 was the original Rayman, but yeah, that game was sweet.
Mm.
I see it on the list here. Altered Beast. Is that really a PlayStation 2 exclusive game?
Okay, I literally saw it today. I thought the same exact thing.
Isn't
Because
that
I
on the
remember
Sega?
Altered Beast
Sega?
being like on the
Yeah.
Sega Genesis, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it was a remake
Right.
or something that came out for PlayStation.
How did I not know about that?
I don't know.
I love
Was-
that game.
Was Metal Gear Snake Eater for PlayStation 2 or 3?
No idea. Probably 2. I don't think it was for
It's
3. unless
2.
You
Snake
probably
Eater's
have it
3,
on-
right?
Yeah, Sons of Liberty was 2, and then Metal Gear Solid 3 was
It's-
Snake
yeah.
Eater.
It's PS2 because PS3 is 4. PS3
Yeah.
is Metal Gear Solid 4.
Right,
Oh,
right.
for a second
The
there, I thought you
Patriots
didn't
one.
have Armored Core on this list. So I was about
No,
to
I
get
got it.
pissed.
Armor Core 2. Let's talk about it. You remember they used to have the I don't know what mode it was, but it was like the arena where you would
Yeah.
have to like fight the 1v1s.
Yeah. That was cool.
Look out.
The first one was okay. I think the second one you could really get into like the customization and stuff, couldn't you?
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Where the fuck are all those games
3
at?
and 4. Though,
Can I say that?
From
Like,
Software moved on to
well,
Dark Souls.
Well,
good
that's
reason.
fine, I guess. But like nobody, I can't think of a game that has like cool
Give
like
me another one.
yeah, like mech fighting where you can like switch out the parts of the robot and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it was
Like that was a
super
great.
customizable.
Let's let From finish Elden Ring first, okay? Let's go for Armored Core later.
We need a mech game for fuck's sakes. The last good one
Yeah.
was the last good one was Mech Assault, and that was freaking 10 plus years ago.
What
Those were
about
on
that
PC,
game that
weren't they?
Morgan was talking about? Like the little like puzzle game with the mechs that you
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but-
I played that. I like that a lot. But that's not a
Okay.
mech game. Come on.
Yeah,
come
it's a mech
on.
game.
It's like a strategy game that happens to have mechs.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
game.
Tomato,
And there's
tomato.
mechs. So
Oh,
You could
yeah, you're right.
replace-
Tomato, tomato, right?
Well, I guess you could say that about
tomato,
anything.
potato.
I guess
Potato, potato.
Dark Souls is just a mech game, but with people instead of mechs. You know, you just switch out
Did Dark
armor
Souls?
and the weapons.
Now you're
same
reaching.
thing.
See,
Same
Look what
thing.
you're doing.
They're all just games.
They're all mech games.
I only played Jack and Daxter 3. That's the or
Mm.
Jack. I don't know. That's the only one I played. Played Kingdom Hearts. I remember that.
Yep.
What about Zone of the Enders isn't on here, man? That's freaking great, dude.
I leave it
What
off the list.
Heck?
I don't know what that is.
Whoa, Crash Team Racing. How about that one?
Oh, CTR,
That was good.
unbelievable.
That was a fun one.
Yep. You know what wasn't fun was Jack X Racing, the last
idea.
installment of the Jack series.
Oh,
Yikes!
Oh man, dude, that game straight up sucked.
What a bad note to go out on. I guess.
Yep.
Never even heard of that.
I'm good.
I mean, Tony Hawk was good on
Jack.
PlayStation, but it might have been
ooh,
on.
yeah, there you go.
Isn't it funny, like how good that game was, and then in recent years, how
With Tony
bad
Hawk.
Even Tony Hawk got pretty bad, and like that skate and stuff like that was pretty goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if they tried to get because they didn't look realistic. I don't know why they weren't as beloved as like Tony Hawk, like 1 and 2.
What Tony Hawk was it where you could like unlock the Roswell map at the end and like go into like the back hallway with like the alien bodies and stuff? Was that
I
just
wanted-
Tony Hawk 1 or 2?
2 you could do all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know if that
Mm.
was. I don't remember that specifically because I played 2 a lot. Maybe that was 1.
All right. Let's get serious, okay?
I've been serious.
GTA, Vice City, and San Andreas, okay?
Mm.
Both on 2. Most Need for Speed, first of all of them up to most
Need for Speed
Wanted.
Underground too?
Yeah.
Yep.
God of War.
Yeah. Did God of War 1 come out on PS2? I guess it would have
Yeah.
had to, right? Because I know God of War 2 did.
God of War did, yeah.
And God of War 3 came out on PS3. Yeah. God of War 3 came out on PS3.
Yeah, that was the one
Mhm.
with Hercules.
Yeah, and like the newest God of War was PS4, obviously. Okay.
And then 4, I know, before we can't skip over, I know Wolf will go, is all the Budokai games.
Yep, I had Budokai 2 on PS2. It had like that silver cover. I remember it.
There's Budokai and then Budokai Tenkaichi too. I mean, there was like 8? There had to have been like 15 Dragon Ball games for PlayStation 2 alone.
Yeah, but none of them featured any mechs.
Right, and there was mechs in Dragon Ball.
Yep.
Wasn't there?
Yep.
Monster
Dragon
Hunter.
Ball original, yeah.
There you go. So
Max Payne.
missed opportunity.
You were a Max Payne guy?
That was on Xbox too, though. So I
Battlefront.
played that on Xbox. It was like one of the few games that.
Yeah, Battlefront 1 and 2. Yeah, that was both.
Guitar
But yeah, Battlefront
Hero.
1 and 2. Rock Band. We're just naming games now.
Those are
We're just naming games now, yeah.
No, Guitar
Yeah, I mean,
Hero
I
was
had all
only
those, too.
PlayStation for a while.
I don't think so.
Was it?
'Cause I had
Rock
it on
Band was Xbox. Guitar Hero was PlayStation.
I don't think, because
Maybe.
I had Guitar Hero on Xbox.
Trust me.
That ain't. You have to check your facts on that. That doesn't
Fact
sound
check.
right.
Can we get a fact check?
Fact check.
PS3 had Demon Souls, which was great. You know, the college days, we played that a ton. Uncharted series,
Yeah, those
people love that shit. They really do. Dude, Little Big Planet 1 and 2,
Mhm.
amazing.
Little Big Planet. Yeah, I love Little Big Planet.
Amazing games.
How fun were those to play with people?
The best.
We used to have
if
a
you-
blast.
If you didn't like come out of playing that game just having the best feeling, like a big smile on
Mhm.
your face, yeah, you weren't doing it right.
Yep.
Which one's this? Sorry.
Little Big Planet.
It
Sackboy.
You know,
Large Little Planet.
Are we on PS3 now? Are we still on? PS?
yes,
Yeah, wherever.
it's PlayStation, baby.
We're still talking about Sony.
Guitar Hero came out later for Xbox. Originally on PlayStation.
How much later?
Mm.
I don't know. That's all I got.
Couple days.
Minutes.
Oh yeah.
Heavy Rain's a game I never got to play, but
I
that was
played-
PS3 exclusive. I
Played the
believe.
demo for it, and actually, it was a really long demo. It was really good.
Mm.
I just don't like that genre of game, like that story, like Telltale games and things like that. I'm just not the biggest fan. I know they're really good, and that one happened to be really good as well.
Yeah. I just always see that meme of it, like I don't know, that one part where he's like trying to save his son or something. He's just yelling he's like, Sean, Sean, Sean. He says Sean like 80 times in a row, and he's like running through the streets and stuff, just like yelling
Mhm.
Sean. And I've just,
Mhm.
it like kind of makes the game like a mockery of the game.
Right. That's why I can't play Final Fantasy X because the laugh thing.
What laugh thing?
Was it Titus? He tells her to laugh. They're standing. He's like, ah, ha, 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 ha," and they're standing out there by the water. It's the most memey laugh ever. Ruin the game for that and all the water. But
Didn't Deus Ex come out for PlayStation 3?
Did you just say Dave's X?
Yeah, Deus
Yeah,
Ex
Dave,
Human
what
Revolution.
That was a
console
lot
was
of-
your X on?
Deus Ex.
wasn't that multi-platform though? So it's like, I don't know.
Oh, she was a multi-platformer, all right.
I thought she was more of a. I thought she was the PSP. I thought she was more mobile. Yeah, she was more like very accessible on the go.
Yeah.
Hi. Titus, laugh.
Falcon Punch.
Uncharted games.
Yeah, I mentioned that a little bit ago, but I think like 1, 2, and 3 all came out on PS2
Sounds right.
or PS3.
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 The Last of Us was PS3.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, the
Wow.
first one. Yeah.
That was a selling
talk
point
about
for
it.
4.
Man, that game's really held up well, hasn't it?
Yeah, that game has a great fan base too.
It's just a great game. I mean, I think I've actually sat through the whole like cinematic thing where they put them like it together as a movie.
Yep,
It's that good.
I just did that with Halo Reach a few days ago.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been getting hyped. We can talk about that more later. But yeah, it was hard not to. It came up on my feed, and I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna not watch this." It was like 2.5 hours. I was like the whole thing.
We left out Killzone.
No, it's on there.
Killzone.
From PlayStation 2. The first one came out
Look
Mm.
harder.
because that was the Halo killer for PlayStation. Yeah.
Oh, the Killzone 1?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember it being advertised. It didn't really take off, did it?
Not really. I mean, they
And
were
they
cool
had that,
games, but I thought they
Re-
were
they-
cooler than the Wolfenstein games in terms of like a fascist.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
Wasn't
post-apocalypse.
Resistance very similar too?
Well, Resistance was more like just end of the world kind of shit.
Okay.
Killzone was more like fascist.
What's
I'm
the
missing the
difference?
word.
Wasn't it like Aliens? Wasn't that Killzone? Or is that Resistance?
No, Killzone was those dudes who ran around looking like stormtroopers all over the place.
What
like
was the
Nazi
one with the
stormtroopers.
aliens? Was that
I think Resistance didn't have the weird
Resistance.
skull on the cover.
Yeah.
Like,
Fall
Okay,
of
that was
Man.
Resistance.
helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I remember about that game was the box art, I think.
Those are the same game to me. Resistance 2 and Killzone 2. It's the same game.
Did you play White
I never
Knight
played 'em.
Chronicles, Adam? That seems like something you would play.
I looked at the box probably 500 times. You know, that was when I used to frequent GameStop. Every time I go in there, I'd pick up that game case. Never bought it. I heard the first one was good, but it was a little like janky as far as the had some like bugs or something like that. So they were like, stay away. And then the second one, I remember it being like very expensive for some reason, and it just the price never came down, and it wasn't as good as the first one apparently.
Was the original Nino Kuni on PlayStation 3?
It was.
PlayStation 3, yeah.
I never
I
got
had
a chance
that.
to play that though.
It was good. It was kind of kiddie-ish, but
Mm-hmm.
it was about as close you can get to Pokemon as like an open world RPG. Better fighting in it. Story was fine.
I
We
think PlayStation 3 was the best console of that generation.
Really?
Better than 360?
Xbox is the one. Xbox 360 was the one that everyone said was like the best console.
I mean, I
of all
had
time.
360, but PS3 had some games. I'm just looking at the games here, and I just
Yeah.
think the exclusives were better.
I don't know if I
Oth-
agree with that. I had
Other than
PS3.
Halo, like Halo 3 and Halo Reach being on 360, like might have put it over the top. But if Microsoft wouldn't have had Halo, I think the PS3 would have won like in a landslide.
Gears of War was good then.
Yeah, was that when Gears 1 came out? Yeah, it came out like
Yeah.
with the 360, right?
Mhm.
It was like advertised.
It was great, yeah.
It had a good advertisement too.
I know we're on Gen 3 already, but we left out a lot of Gundam games and we left out a lot of Monster Hunter and Dragon Quest
past-
games.
Yeah, a
We're
lot of them
past
weren't very good
the
though.
mechs, and yeah, we're
The
past all the
majority of 'em.
monsters.
Sadly,
Oh, Gundam games were good for a while.
I'm
Were
just
they?
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Come on.
I mean, they were
you're
just
hurting my
like
feelings.
generic, like 2D fighters, weren't they?
Yeah, we left out Mega Man X and PlayStation 1 too.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Remember Mega
Notable.
Man Legends, where it was like the first-person game, and you could like upgrade your Buster and. Did you play that,
I-
Josh?
There was one that was third person that I played.
Oh yeah, It was third person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a great game.
I played a lot. I wanted to remember to say this when we were back at PlayStation. I'll quit with the PlayStation 2 stuff. Was War of the Monsters. I played the shit out of that game on PlayStation 2. It was like
that
a,
one?
What is
it
War
was
of the
like
Monsters?
it was just like a button masher arena, punch 'em up, like co-op game. But you play as like old like tropey kaiju, and you could destroy literally the whole map. And oh my god, it was just like
Let me guess, you love Rampage too, I bet.
I was never really. I mean, I played it, but I was never really a big Rampage guy.
Man, I loved Rampage.
If it has
Yeah.
giant mechs or monsters,
Give it
Josh
to me.
is all in. Yeah, that's all you need.
Give
My
it to
house
me.
is like Rampage. People just bust down the fucking door without knocking.
I'll be over.
We had Metal Gear Solid 4 come out for PlayStation 3.
Which might be the best game to come out on PS3.
I bought that game and remember borrowing a friend's PlayStation just so I could play it. Like I didn't own a PlayStation. I just bought that game and asked if I could borrow his console. So I
Metal
was
Gear
like,
Solid 4.
Yeah, I was like, I have to play this.
It was really good. Man, I got really hooked on that game. I
You
didn't think
remember-
I'd like it as much as I did.
Oh yeah, it was like right when the HD collection came out for Xbox. So I was experiencing it
Mhm.
all for like the first time, and I was like, I gotta play it. You know? And then
Yeah,
there was
it's like
that scene where Raiden is like picking up that entire Rain mech or whatever, whichever one that was, Metal Gear Ray. They're fighting on the coast of like the old #1 setting.
What was he picking up?
He was picking up the whole mech, like with his bare hands. It was like
a mech with his hands. Okay.
Yeah, another mech game. Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. Oh, another mech. Oh, and I have Journey on here too. Did you guys ever play Journey?
No.
No. That's like, you know what game are we looking at today, Josh? What trailer?
That looks like a Maddie game though.
It's Journey. Journey is a Matt game. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
if you saw the trailer, you'd be like, yeah, Matt likes that game a lot. I love that. I love Journey.
What else came
Good
out?
soundtrack. It's like very indie.
Oh, Bully.
Oh yeah, that's got a following.
Was that well received?
Yeah,
It was. It was a
Oh.
very popular game.
it's Rockstar.
Still is. Yeah. Kind of glossed over GTA, but
I was never allowed to own them. Like my dad would get pissed.
I couldn't play him either.
Like
Mortal
I'd
Kombat,
been
I
like,
couldn't play.
I was like 22 or 23 when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. My dad came in when I was still living at home. Was like, I told you no Grand Theft. I was like, go fuck yourself, man. I was like, I've been able to buy these
Holy
games
shit.
for like 5 years, dude. Like 6 years.
He was like, "Where are the mechs in this?
yeah,
You're no son of mine."
he's holding Gundam. Like,
Remember these, Josh?
Yeah. You ever see those videos of that dad like running all those games over with the lawnmower? That kid like crumpling. His world is over.
PlayStation 4's got the best exclusives of that generation, I think, too.
For sure. Agreed.
Like Horizon Zero Dawn. Like Horizon Zero Dawn alone, that game looks so impressive to me. The new God of War looks great. Bloodborne. A lot of people think that Bloodborne is the best Souls-like. I'm not sure if I agree or
I
not.
don't agree with that.
I might
at
go
all,
Dark
but
Souls 1, but a
yeah.
lot of people say Bloodborne is like a masterpiece.
I really like the aesthetic of Bloodborne.
Me
like
too.
Just that gothic theme. But like
Yeah.
when it got to the point where it was like, go find the umbilical cords, I was like, okay, well, I think this is losing me a little bit here.
Saw, dude.
I didn't know that Detroit was an exclusive game.
Become Human.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, a game I really, really wanted to play for PlayStation 4 and never got to, and I heard it was just short, like just way too short, wasn't even worth playing, was The Order 1886 or whatever. It looks so cool, man.
I just saw that the other, maybe a few months ago, not the other day, but
What is it?
Looked amazing.
It
I
was
did say
like
you never even heard of it.
Oh yeah, it was like the setting was like the Knights of the Round Table have like lived forever, and they like defend the human race from like werewolves and shit.
Yeah, aren't
And
they?
they
They're
live
like
in,
in
like,
what 19th century London or something like that is what the setting looks like.
1800s.
18 yeah, 19th century.
19th century.
In their
1800s, sorry. Yeah, 19th
yeah, and they're
century.
you're like you said, they're hunting werewolves like through London. Like the graphics look amazing, like the voice acting and stuff, like they all sound great. Like I watched the trailer for that thing. I was like, holy shit, when's this game come out? Like it came out like 4 years ago. I was like,
This is PS4?
what?
Yeah, it was so short. Like everybody hated on it because it was like a demo.
Oh, but Resident Evil 2 remake, that's okay.
Yeah,
That won Game of the Year.
Yeah, that
4 hours.
Resident Evil 2 won Game of the Year on that Golden Joystick Award.
I know. People were like speedrunning Resident Evil 2 in like 15 minutes.
Yeah. But Classic
I blink my eyes and like he's halfway through the game.
Classic WoW won Best PC Game. So it's just all remakes. All the remakes won.
Yeah, well, it's not the official though. We'll see what happens with that.
What else? They redid Ratchet and Clank on PS4.
They did.
And it looked pretty,
Yeah, I
like the
see that.
like a lot of those. Honestly, like sometimes people bitch about the remasters. It is cool to see like the old games reskinned and like actually look good instead of big fucking blocky pieces of shit that they used to be.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus remake came out as well.
Oh yeah, did we forget to talk about Shadow of the Colossus on PS2?
We
I think
did.
Oh, good game.
I never got to play it, but I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube, and like I think that game still has a community too.
It does.
People that are like always talking about it.
I just watched a video about, I want to say maybe 8 or 9 year long process where they were still finding out secrets to the game, and they finally just found
Yep.
like another Easter egg a few years ago or something like that. It's
the best video on
Yeah.
YouTube.
You saw that too?
Oh yeah, of course.
We
I think we're
watched
getting the same
Arcadian
feed.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably where we were.
What else?
But yeah, I mean, gaming is an art form. I mean, a game that says a lot, where by not saying a whole lot.
So we got. Was Kingdom Hearts was that for Nintendo or just PlayStation? No, because that's Square Enix, right?
It's just
Square Enix,
Well,
just
that was
PlayStation.
So we got that. We got Spider-Man made waves, and that last Guardian game made a lot of waves too.
Oh yeah, I think
Mhm.
people didn't really love that as much as they thought they would.
Yeah,
Neo made a lot of waves.
Neo. Yeah,
Automa or whatever.
No, Neo. That
Wait,
like
that
Dark
samurai
Souls,
game.
like samurai.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Oh, Neo.
Yeah.
Neo,
Like
yeah.
Red
NIOH.
pill or the blue pill?
Oh yeah, you've played it.
Matt
Yeah,
wouldn't have
that-
liked this game, but I kind of enjoyed it as just kind of like a game you could like, because we've talked about before. You're not a big quick time event guy, so. But Until Dawn was like a big, just one massive quick time event, and I
No,
actually
people love
enjoyed
that.
it.
People
Yeah,
love that game.
I liked
yeah.
it. Yeah, it was fun.
I don't not like I don't write a game off because it's quick time events. I just don't think it's like a useful thing in a game. I think there's a better way to tell a story or like make the player feel involved. I really do.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't. Maybe I wouldn't like it. Yeah, thinking about it further, maybe I wouldn't like it too much.
Not enough mechs for me. I can say
Persona
that. Right.
5.
Yeah, with their max.
Persona 5 was an exclusive for PlayStation when
Yeah.
it came out, right? We're getting it
Which
on
I would-
PC now.
That is like the one game that I am dying to play. That and Horizon Zero Dawn. I want to
mean,
play
really
both
that
of those so
excited
bad.
about
Yeah,
it.
I bet 5 would be worth playing. I mean, I played 3 and 4, and I like them, but they're really heavy JRPGs. And I'm sure 5. I mean, 4 was a less of a JRPG. I think 5 is much less of a JRPG.
Wasn't Egg talking that up? Wasn't he on
Mhm.
about that?
Yeah, he liked Nier a lot too.
Nier
Automata.
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 Yeah.
Nier Automata.
I mean, I think for me, like if we're gonna just like encompass all like when I think of PlayStation, I think of Metal Gear, really, and
Yeah,
Final
Metal Gear.
Fantasy.
I think of
Yeah.
Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. I think first, yeah, like the Square.
Yeah, I mean God of War definitely for me. I
God
remember
of
playing that
War.
shit in college. God of War was sweet.
Mm.
I mean, there are a lot of recent games that like like The Last of Us was great, obviously, but like when I think like PlayStation and nostalgia feels come in, it's let me just add one here. It's Twisted Metal, Metal Gear, and Final Fantasy, like top 3 for me, easy.
Mhm.
PlayStation's I don't know, there's just something like really cool about Sony and their branding and like the way that they market their games, and like, their E3 events were always like very like well orchestrated. I always thought like, they don't go like over the top, like it's just right, like the music's spot on and the trailers like not too flashy. It's like very serious. I think that's why I like Sony. It's more mature. Nintendo is awesome, but it's more for kids. Microsoft like misses the mark a lot, and Sony is like the one that always has a few games that are like heavily advertised towards a more mature audience, and like they're darker. They're
Yeah.
not like fucking funny jokes. Like they're like for us. I really like Sony. That's probably why they've done so well.
If I was gonna look forward to a Sony game, that that it would probably be that new Ghost of Tsushima. Is that how you pronounce it? Tsushima. It's that samurai one where in the E3 they had that video of him like fighting that chick under the cherry blossom tree,
I do.
and
Yeah.
it looked real cool.
Mhm.
Yep.
They had the guy playing the flute up on stage. It was so bad.
I remember that. Yeah.
The
People were doing
Caucasian
memes.
guy on the playing
Yeah.
the flute on the. Oh
Yeah,
god.
people were doing the memes of him like doing the Like the messed up
Titanic.
Jurassic Park or Titanic or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, sorry.
Future.
It's hilarious.
That's really funny. I can't believe I missed that, the meme thing.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
I kind of see like I don't like I think like I'm I think we're probably like at the end of this conversation like going through Sony, but like I kind of see them like having a traditional console moving forward and like really being the only company that has a lot of success with that as they go on. Like Microsoft will have Scarlet and the other one that they're making right now. And like they'll do well, but it seems like they're moving cloud. I think that Sony won the console wars, I think. Like I think they have like the best traditional console and Nintendo has won by making like the best like crazy ass consoles like the Wii and the Switch.
Innovation. Let's give it to that.
Yeah,
Imagination.
absolutely. Something new. Yeah, I completely agree.
Before we just
Yeah,
completely gloss right over it, we didn't say anything about Vita or PSP really.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't
can't
have
really,
them.
I didn't either.
They were for the Japanese market. I feel like almost exclusively, and they just gave them to us because.
Yeah, I know
why
my
the hell
cousin
not?
had one, and I mean they looked cool. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
I wonder why
Yeah.
the Switch took off though.
I don't know. Like,
'cause it's a console
instead of
too.
having like PSP and Vita and shit, I just had the Nintendo handheld.
Yeah.
Like, I always had a Game Boy or a DS or whatever it was at the time.
They were just coming out with better games, like if you wanted to play PlayStation, you just play your PlayStation.
Yeah,
I feel
also a
like, you
very
know what I
good point.
mean?
Right. It was totally for those people in Japan that were always running around or sitting on trains, could play games and stuff like that. And those like Vita and PSP were super popular over there.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah, not so much here.
Did you guys see the new like models for the PS5? They were just like teased a few
Mm-mm.
days
That like
ago.
hump
They're
thing
not
that goes, they're like,
Oh,
they're
yeah,
not
that's
final
just a-
products. Yeah, they're just
yeah,
I
they're
think that's
dev
just
kits, I
models.
think, is
They're
what
dev
they
do
are.
that shit
Yeah,
every
thank you for
year.
saying
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
It's always everyone freaking out like
Yeah. Oh, it's so ugly. I'm not buying this. Yeah.
So before we move on, what about Horizon? I never knew that you were so like salivating at the mouth to play this Horizon Zero Dawn. Like you've never mentioned it before, really.
Oh,
Before this
was
conversation.
I drooling a bit while I was talking about it?
Like what about like to me it doesn't look like great at all, but I mean I didn't play it either, so I can't really.
Well, I think it looks.
robots, man.
I think there are a lot of mech robots. There's a lot of I think it looks gorgeous. Number one, it's like a very unique atmosphere. And the story is like different, and I think that, like the mechs, the way that they're represented. I think the mechs that they're represented, they're very different as well. I don't know. It's just like a game that I always wanted to play when I first saw the previews, and I never got a chance to. And everyone says how good it is, and it's just like that. It's like my white whale. It's like the game that I can't get my fucking hands on. I just want to play it.
Is it coming to PC or no?
I don't know. You tell me. Give
Probably
Sony a
not.
call.
I
You have some
doubt it.
pull. You have
No
some pull
way.
over there, right?
I do. I dropped by Square HQ when we were
Yeah,
over.
we're. Don't go to the cafe over in Akihabara.
Yeah.
Please
I
don't
dropped
rip.
Arcadian business card off the front.
I have a direct line to Ken Kutaragi.
Yeah, I think you totally butchered
Curator.
his name, but yeah.
No. When I first said it.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Kutaragi.
Okay.
Yeah, I've known him for a while now.
Oh, Ken, yeah.
Kenny, how's the family doing?
Ken's son.
Ken.
As we
Oh,
call
Matt's
him.
on. Yes. Anyway,
So more lawsuits.
yeah, let's do this one. Riot Games will pay $10 million to settle a gender discrimination lawsuit. So this story blew up fucking everywhere. Like it wasn't just the Kotakus and the Polygons of the world that were reporting on this, which is, I mean, you would expect that they would, right? This was published in the LA Times, CBS, like the big time shit. Like this, they're not going to escape the bad PR from this, I don't think. And I'm sure that you guys remember this story because we've already discussed this twice previously, and this is like kind of like the ending to the fucking saga. But the first time we discussed it was when the allegations actually came out. It was the two women, the two female employees accused Riot of sexual harassment and gender discrimination. And then Kotaku came out with like this big article. And that's like really when it started getting a lot of traction. And then we talked about it again when, in response to all of this, Riot had hired that chief diversity officer, which is definitely a real salaried position and is taken very seriously. It's not like just for PR or anything. I'm sure that she's very important. Um, so like right now, what's going on is that Riot Games, who is 100% owned by Tencent, I just figured I would throw that in there, um, has agreed to pay out at least $10 million as part of a settlement in a class action lawsuit. And just to reiterate, this is just a settlement. They were not found guilty of the alleged gender discrimination, but they are settling the case here and now. It's not going to go any further. Um, this $10 million will be split among all women and those who self-identify as women, who have worked with the company since 2014. That $10 million is going to be split out among the female employees, depending on how long they've worked with the company since 2014. Direct hires are going to receive more than outside contractors. Here's a quote from Riot's internal team. "We're pleased to have a proposed settlement to fully resolve the class action lawsuit. The settlement is another important step forward and demonstrates our commitment to living up to our values and to making Riot an inclusive environment for the industry's best talent. Riot has also committed to beefing up their internal programs for reporting sexual harassment and discrimination, fucking yada, yada, yada. You know, that means nothing." What do you guys think of all this? I remember like having strong opinions when this was first coming out, like really just wondering what was going on with the, because it was so like over the top. I felt like when it was coming out, but obviously like something happened because of the $10 million settlement.
Yeah. I mean, well, before we like go on to like our tirades, because I know that's gonna happen. The main like the overarching point that I want to make, not from like an opinion perspective, but from like a financial perspective,
Hmm.
is okay. The article says what they had like $1.4 billion in revenue,
Yeah,
and their
yeah,
settlement is $10 million. That's literally less than 1% of revenue. So it's like basically nothing. So it makes sense for them just to be like, okay, here's $10 million. Let's be done with this. From like a financial perspective, it makes sense just to pay the 10 million to be done. Whether it's right or wrong, just to get rid of it and
it's
be rid of
kind
the
of
issue.
like
That's why they did it.
just ripping off a band-aid, like a
Mhm.
Yeah,
really,
right.
really, really, really small band-aid that.
Yeah,
Oh,
right. It's a quick fix for not a ton of money in the grand
yeah.
scheme of thing. As far as a percentage of revenue, it's less than 1%. So like it's easier just to pay the 10 million, squash the issue, make people happy, and like kind of get past it. So from that, from like a from like a financial perspective and like PR and trying to take care of it, that's why they did what they did, even if they were right or wrong. Like they that from financially, that is the best way to handle it. But that doesn't mean that it's not bullshit or it's not fucking hilarious. But
No,
that's
no, I
just
know.
the point I wanted to make first.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Can I say that, I kind of read back to that original Kotaku article after I saw this earlier today as well. I was reading into it, that the allegations that are being made do seem a little like all over the place. That original Kotaku article, I know you, Matt, you said that it was like two women that were Stanford. It was like 28, I believe, in the
Mm.
original one that it said things, all anonymous. Uh,
Oh, okay.
and then it was also their claims were also denied by like top women employees at Riot at the time about this bro culture and things like that. So I mean that original article, it definitely said some things. This was like bro culture, and that this one specific employee was being, maybe specifically harassed. Her her pitches for ideas were being declined, that kind of thing is what the claims were. And then you go and look at, and that's really all it said about it. There was some kind of discrimination going on. Then you go look at this LA Times article that's much more recent, and I mean the stuff that apparently was going on is like out of control. What was this? uh so the men first bro culture thing, sure, that, I mean, we knew about that. They were getting pictures of male genitalia. The managers were circulating a hot girl list.
Crotch
ranking
grabbing.
female employees by attractiveness.
Crotch grabbing.
Crotch. Yeah, there was an email conversation going around talking about what it would feel like to be in, to penetrate the women that they worked with, things like that. Like these are the allegations. Like,
yeah, it's pretty rough.
Phantom humping.
I'm just yeah, phantom. And then, but the article is talking about, what they title it is that there's some kind of pay discrimination going on, that they're not paying the women employees. I'm not really sure. Maybe they're doing all of these things. I don't know which ones they did, which ones they didn't do, but it seems like the original allegations, what they're following up on now, like what the media is saying about it, it seems like a total mess.
It does seem like a lot. Like, it seems like they're just like throwing everything, and like whatever sticks, like that's what Ryan's gonna be hung on.
Right.
And it seems like it's the stuff that is more of like I don't even want to say bro culture, because I don't even know what that fucking means. But the more like stuff that's like kind of barbaric, it's like the emails and the hot lists and stuff, like stuff that you don't want going on at work.
So this didn't even. Sorry, go ahead.
But the gender discriminations, or the gender discrimination stuff based on pay, I mean, that's obviously the most serious thing. It seems to me like that wasn't proven. It seems like this 10 million, to Dave's point, it isn't like a ton of money for them. I think that was just to say, like, okay, like this email shit, this like girls tier list that we did, we just like want this to wash away. Here's your 10 million. Let's move on from this. You can't prove gender discrimination, because I think that they were trying to say or prove the point that women were being paid less than men for the same work. Obviously, that's illegal in the United States. You can't do that. But that's really hard to prove, I think, unless it's very blatant. And I don't like want to go out here and say that Riot was doing that, because you can have two people that like think they're doing the same job. If one makes more, like they might have more responsibility, they might be better at their job. So like to say that it's less or more, I think it's just a hard case to make. Unless it's like across the board, like you're a male, you make 80,000, and you're a woman, you make 60,000, and that's the end. That doesn't happen.
Right.
In
That
the United
and like
States.
there's usually some sort of salary negotiation too as well, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe the men there negotiated their salaries better, or you know what I mean? Like attempted to do, like there's so many factors that can go into that you know what I mean? It's really hard to say, because like it's not like they have a written policy that says we pay men this much and we pay women this much. You know what I mean? Like that's not a thing. So
Job experience. I mean,
there's just there's so many like factors that can like funnel into like the pay thing, like how you negotiate your salary. Like if I have 5 years experience and you have 3 years experience, or if you know what I mean, like you have to go home and take care of your kid one day a week or something. You know, there's so many different factors that can like play into like what your salary is, that it just seems.
Yeah, I mean, you can also like leave your job if you're not happy with pay or the environment. And I don't mean that with like the bro culture stuff. I'm not saying that. Like that stuff is out of hand. It should never happen. And they should be sued for that. Like they should have to pay for that. It's garbage. I'm sure the people that were working there didn't like that. But like if you feel that you're undervalued at work, if you feel like you need to make more and you're doing a lot of work, like and it's not like a systemic problem, you need to go to your boss and like try to raise your salary. Like Dave said, try to negotiate, or try to get, more or less duties depending on what you want. And if that doesn't work, like, you do have the option to go to another employer. I mean, like they're not like slave drivers there. I mean, like people like went and worked for Riot, like on their own volition, so like, and you can leave on your own volition as well. They're not like keeping people there for years, like against their will.
The articles would imply that there's also women in high positions at Riot, and that at one point, they denied these allegations from even the bro culture and things like that for being existed.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I mean, it's,
who knows? I think like when we first talked about that, I think like our verdict was like, dude, who the fuck knows? And like we'll never really know, I don't think.
No, we won't.
Unless you work there, you've no idea.
I don't see anything on anything like actually being settled in court. Like it seems like this was all handled like on in a back room, on the table.
That's correct.
Like I don't see anything about I see
No, it's
court documents filed, but there was nothing. Nobody was guilty for this, proven guilty for this in court, or you know, dissolved of this in court for any particular reason. Yeah, I don't see that anywhere. But I'm not.
Yeah,
All I'm
and
going
just
on
like
is what's
anything else,
provided
like
here.
if something actually happened, like, and you were that offended by it, like, fucking save the email. You know what I mean? Like, save firsthand, hardcore evidence that can prove your claim.
Well,
yeah.
I'm
Well,
sure that's probably
it
why
seems
a
like
lot
they
of this
did.
wasn't settled in court because there's probably a shitload of
Yeah, right.
evidence of all of
Yeah.
it. Like
Sure,
they can't even
right.
go to court for it.
Right, and if that's the case, and then they settle, then that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna make like crazy allegations, have proof. Whether and I'm sure they had some kind of proof because they wouldn't have settled if they didn't. I don't
Mhm.
think, but that's just my big thing. Like, if something actually happened, like, get proof, like, prove it. Evidence is like, well, you know what I mean, will trump everything. You'll get what you want eventually.
If I had to like speculate, I would imagine that probably all of these things did happen, but it probably wasn't like a riot campus wide, you know,
Exactly.
epidemic of bro culture and things like it was probably a small group. And
Exactly.
this woman happened to a few women, few men were doing this shit, and the women were obviously not not being treated properly for any scenario, let alone like the workplace. But
Yep.
all this stuff probably happened. They wouldn't have just settled out of court like you guys are saying
Yep. I
if
agree.
literally nothing happened. But
Let's talk about something even more
this is-
spicier.
Well, this is still going on, so I don't think that it's totally closed. So if you do want a chunk of that 10 million, I would consider moving down to California, identifying as a woman and getting in there while they're getting still good. You can maybe get a chunk of that and get a couple, tens of thousands and just get out real quick. So maybe just some friendly advice for a quick buck.
I was phantom humped in the lobby before I even made it in the door.
Yeah. They got you too.
yeah, could you draw us a picture of what phantom humping looks like?
I think we're gonna move on. Halo: The Master Chief Collection has topped the Steam sales charts. So the collection released today on December 3rd on PC on Steam, which is super exciting. We've been waiting for this for a long time. I've been waiting for this for a super long time. It's currently the #1 selling game on Steam with the standalone title Halo Reach sitting in third. Super, super cool. 45 minutes into the game going live, there were 60,000 concurrent players. And then I saw tweets like, into the night right before we were doing the show. It is December 3rd right now as we speak for those listening. Those concurrent numbers were like up over 100,000 players. You know that I love this. Like, I'm a huge fan of Bungie's iterations of the Halo franchise. Some of my favorite memories. And I think this is a really positive start for them on Steam, and I think that we're going to continue to see these games have success as they're released one by one. It seems like the community really loves this.
I'm excited for it. I gotta get it.
Yeah, I played multiplayer a little bit before we got on the show. The servers went down like after 2 games, so
did you use controller?
Really no, I used my keyboard. My controller was dead. But I picked up the controller. Went straight for it.
Can we play co-op like the original games, like all of them?
Well, Reach is the only one out right now.
Yeah, Reach is the only one out right now.
I mean, I figured to be able to, just from what you guys were saying, but
yeah.
I think that Reach and Halo 3 are the only ones that are 4-person co-op for camp.
Oh, those are 4-person co-op?
I thought they were 2-person co-op.
I believe 3, because in Halo 3, you played as the Arbiter and Chief, like in 2.
Yep.
And then you played as 2 like elite guards, like the other players did in Halo 3.
I've never played more than 2. Are you sure you can do that?
That's how it was on console. Whether it's the same thing on here, I don't know. But
I remember specifically playing 2 people on Reach.
Me too.
Because you were playing, Matt, you were playing with somebody, and then I jumped in and finished the game with you.
Yeah, I actually
no
remember
idea what was going on.
Yeah, I do remember that day. Yeah, if you're listening, I know. Well, now I don't know if there are 4 players. We might have more people involved, but Josh and I are going to be starting the Halo Reach campaign on Legendary. We're going to have each episode is going to be one of the campaign missions. I think we'll cut them down into 5 or 10 minute snippets. We're not going to have 2 hours of us dying. Well, me dying. Apparently, Josh is the best at the game, and he doesn't plan to die the whole way. Is that right, Josh?
Yes.
0 deaths.
Zero.
We've been doing this since we were like 9 years old, man. It's gonna be easy.
Well, it was hard then.
Halo 3 has 4-player co-op. Halo 3, 4, and Reach will support 4-player co-op.
Holy
And
shit.
ODST, apparently.
There's only one Noble 6, bro. Yeah, I'm pumped. I mean, I want to play the campaign. Like I said, I just watched the whole fucking YouTube movie of the Halo Reach cutscenes. It's really good. I mean, it still holds up.
Halo Reach? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Dude, the Bungie storytelling with the Halo games, like Reach, for instance, like it's not overdone. Like the characters aren't like edgy fucking cutouts of like some idiot character that they made up like just for the sake of it. Like they're very believable. Like they say funny things, like they're serious when they need to be, they're sad when they need to be. Like it's a very good story. You know, nowadays you just get like fucking crap.
Like in Halo 1 through 3, there was like all these Spartans, or like there was like one left. And then in Halo 5, all of a sudden there's like teams of them, like everywhere. Like they're just all over the place. This guy's like, I'm gonna kill the first one ever. Yeah. Oh God.
I never played 5. I never got the chance.
It's
It
a
really
shame
struck a
because
chord with you,
like
Josh.
the writer that did Halo 1 through 3 and Reach was doing the Destiny storyline and got booted, like, or he quit. Like they just weren't having it. So like then I guess that's why Destiny's story was fleshed out like mostly through what's called the Grimoire in the game, and
No good.
it's like, man, where'd that guy go? Can some studio just hire him, please? Because that guy writes like a motherfucker.
Do you know what his
man.
name is?
I can't remember.
Well, I think
So,
that they
yeah.
obviously like Martin O'Donnell wasn't used
What he
for the
was- in
soundtrack.
Destiny, he was.
Well, in Destiny, that's what I mean. In Destiny, he was, but obviously, like he didn't go with the Halo franchise. Like when they sold the IP, he obviously stayed with Bungie, and the music is such a big part of the game.
That original Halo soundtrack, man, holy shit.
Oh my god.
That first level and then the intro to the second one, I mean,
Yeah.
those are with like the atmosphere and the music and everything they built. I mean, the graphics were good for the time. They didn't have to be like absolutely amazing. You go back and play now, you probably still get, you know, a similar experience to something you get with an, you know, amazing 4K and shit. It's just that music and like the story, like the world building, even up to that point, how much action.
It was just a
They-
good ass sci-fi
yeah.
game, man. It was
They
just a
told a
good
lot,
ass.
yeah.
It had like a ton of religious themes in it too. Like there was just a lot going on. It was a lot deeper than just like, oh, better kill the alien race.
His name was
Right.
Joseph
like-
Staten.
But
Joseph
like
Staten.
you said, but like if you didn't want that, you would just go through and kill everybody. It didn't like beat you over the fucking head with it the
No.
entire game. Like, oh, it's the Covenant and they're really bad and this is why.
Oh yeah, none of it.
No, they didn't do that. Like games today, I feel like that's all I hear about is how like you know they got to reiterate like how bad the baddies are all the time because we can't figure that out through what they're doing or you know how you're interacting with them.
It's
in
kind
the
of how
actual game.
It's kind of how the Outer Worlds was.
Really.
Not to keep beating that game to death. I'm sure that there's a lot of people that like it. I'm sorry that I keep trash talking it, but yeah, it like the story's the focus, obviously, but it's just like they just beat you over the fucking head. Not to steal Dave's line, but they really do. It's over and over and over. Like, oh yeah, like corporations and capitalism. Like, no, no, no. It's like, okay, like we fucking get it. Like you just told us in the first like cutscene. We know. You don't have to keep telling us.
Is that why everybody keeps saying that now? Like the like all the YouTube comments and Reddit comments I always see, it's like, what's this say about society? Like, wow, this is capitalism. Wow, this is capital. This is...
I think that's
like...
just I think that's just Reddit.
Oh, okay. That's like all and then people are finally like calling them out on it now. They're like, yeah, so like what does this say? Like you gonna finish that thought or are you just gonna
Yeah. I don't think they come right out and they say like capitalism.
Oh.
It's just like very in your face though. You know what they're talking about like right from the get-go.
I was just wondering if there was a correlation. And that's why it was so popular, because people love that shit.
Yeah, they do love that shit. But anyway, let's stay on the Microsoft train here. So they have no plans to include VR in their next consoles, according to Phil Spencer. So this is what he said, and he put it pretty simply here. Nobody's asking for VR. That's his claim. He also went on to say that he has some issues with VR. It's isolating, and he thinks more of games as a communal kind of together experience. I think that his statement is a little bit short-sighted. Like, I can agree that VR maybe isn't ready to, be like the number one feature of a console right now. It's kind of still in development, but games are getting better in that sector. And Josh, we were talking about this earlier, and I kind of completely agree, but maybe Microsoft got burned so badly on the fucking Microsoft Connect that they're just done taking new chances on this tech, and they'll just wait till it's ready and then they'll put it in as a feature.
I watched a video of people talking about, I don't know if you guys have watched it, but so VR has always just kind of been like niche, right? And I agree. I don't know about you guys. It's not bad, but it's just kind of like a niche thing within the industry, right? But if anybody has seen that Half-Life Alyx trailer, it looks fucking gorgeous. Like, that game looks good for a fucking VR game. Like, that's probably like a game that's going to come out for VR. I mean, it's not Half-Life 3 that everyone wanted, but it's a new Half-Life game, which is a big fucking deal, right? So I think that that'll bring people in. So like you're saying, and he's saying that, like, I mean, you're not saying the same thing he is, but it's just not there yet. But in my opinion, and I think that you agreed, like you said earlier, that this is definitely far more foreseeable as a future in gaming than I see cloud being. And Microsoft is already going for this cloud shit. I'm really just kind of dancing around all these topics and not really saying anything particular right here, right now. But I'm just in such total disagreement. Like, I've never liked Phil Spencer. I think he's the worst thing to happen to Microsoft ever. Seriously.
Yeah, I know you're not a Phil
Xbox.
guy.
At least.
Yeah.
So, like, and everybody just wants to blow him every time he gets up on stage, and it's like, just get off this guy's dick, man. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Here's the thing, like, with VR, I feel like Half-Life Alyx is like the first VR game that is a game.
Yeah.
Or at least it's trying to be a game. Everything else has been like testing the features, like, oh, I wonder if like we can do this, and then they do that. And it either works and it's fun, or it doesn't work and everybody's like, okay, this is trash. But they don't like make it look real good. There's no soundtrack or story or missions. It's just like, hey, jump into this sandbox,
Beat Saber,
test out this shit that we made and see if you have fun. And for the most part, like, I think it's been successful. But like, people are gonna start to refine this, like you see with Half-Life, and it's gonna be really fucking good. And I think you said it perfectly. Like, VR is the future of gaming, not the fucking cloud. Yeah, like, sure, the cloud's fine, and like we'll go there, but like, people want VR. People don't give a shit about cloud. Corporations want the fucking cloud.
Yeah. Well, I think Josh, you
Phil
kind of said
Spencer wants the cloud.
Yeah. Josh, you kind of said it there. Well, I really don't. I don't mind what Phil Spencer is saying here with the next console generation not doing anything with VR, because the technology isn't. I don't think it is quite there, and I think for someone that's going to be serious about VR, I think that it definitely requires like a PC at this point. You need something that you can upgrade whenever you want, throw in the biggest, baddest hardware in there and really crank out the high performance frames. Like, when a really cool VR game does drop, I don't think the Xbox or the new PlayStation will have what's required to power something like that, or offer the, even the peripheral equipment that you'd feel comfortable, spending a lot of money on. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's like the Vive Pro and things like that. I mean, you can spend $700-800 on these things, extra cameras and controllers. I mean, you're looking at $1,000 just on like the VR setup, let alone not even talking about the PC setup. I don't think they could realistically offer something in your home, price competitive wise, that anybody's gonna buy and get a really good experience from.
But that's what he should have said, you know. Phil should have said, like, look, we just don't feel like it's a necessary investment given the technology available to consumers, okay? Not, where is it?
Yeah.
I just
quote
don't.
was
I think games are communal and it's isolating. Like, no, you're an idiot. Everybody made you look like an idiot when you said nobody wanted single player games, and PlayStation like ran you guys over with Xbox One.
Listen,
like in comparison to PlayStation 4, Xbox One is just like roadkill. You know?
Phil is a leader in the industry. He makes bold statements, and that's I for one respect him for it.
I hate him.
I'm just kidding. I think he's a dick too. I'm just messing around.
I hate him.
I don't know.
I think go ahead, Dave.
I feel like as a CEO, like he could like articulate his thoughts a little bit more, like, you know what I mean? Like, instead of just like it just sounds like he's a dipshit. You know what I mean? Like, you're a CEO of a company. Like, formulate a like have some fucking PR people like write your fucking thing for you. Don't just say like dumb dribble that like just makes you seem dumb. Because obviously he's not dumb. I don't think he's dumb. He's like
I would assume not. Yeah. I just
Like,
don't like dude. I hate like the isolating games.
Like, what is he
wants a
even
communal
fucking
experience.
talking about there?
What does that mean? Yeah, I don't know what that means. Yeah, people like multiplayer. People like single player too.
Look at the community
that
around
mean?
Beat Saber. People are making songs. People are playing the songs that people are making. People are watching. Thousands of people are watching people play that game. There's literally content creators revolving around just Beat Saber.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. VR chat. How about that one?
Yeah, place.
Talk
you know,
about that. Let's chat about VR chat for a second.
Yeah. You could be a little anime girl with a bunch of other anime girls, and
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
I'm sure
meme
V
shit.
would had a lot to say about this because he's real into the VR chat and all that. But like,
he knows the way.
to say that it's isolating, and yes, games are communal. Of course they're communal, you fucking idiot. You know, but that doesn't mean that it's isolating.
Wow, you really don't like Phil Spencer.
No, not at all.
Holy crap. That's fine. A lot of animosity.
I mean,
a lot of animosity.
I mean, like, we can talk a lot of shit on him or whatever, but like, he's still like a millionaire. We're jabronis.
And the
so.
Microsoft CEO. Well, we're jabronis right now.
My attitude to
must
Phil
like 5 more
Spencer
years.
is like Matt's attitude to not being able to catch all 150. Original 150.
Oh. Well, yeah, I was enraged. I was.
Yeah.
But I got over that.
I should take a deep
This
breath
is
and
sticking
just
with you.
relax, but like he is like literally just like driving them. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that because that would make me look like a fool. But like, he looked like an idiot. Not to repeat myself here, when he said that people don't want single player games. That was obviously proven wrong. And tell me that this is not literally saying the same thing as that. Again, it's isolating and it should be communal kind of together experience. Yeah, well, we already know you don't like single player games and your current gen console is suffering because of it. You know, so it's like what
Sounds like you like Phil Spencer about as much as I like cloud games. I think we're pretty much on par. Let's talk about another community here. One that unfortunately took a very, very big hit this week. It saddens me to report that Lil Bub, everyone's favorite internet cat, has passed away at age 8. If you don't know who Lil Bub is, she was an internet famous due to her tongue that always stuck out. I mean, like, Josh, we were talking about this earlier, and you said you didn't know who it was, and as soon as you saw the picture, you were like, oh yeah, like of course I know Lil Bub. Yeah, everybody knows Lil Bub. She was a real first mover in the pets with social media accounts industry. Sold merch with her face on it that a lot of people had. Lil Bub's owner used a lot of those funds, about 700 grand or so, to raise money and awareness for pets with special needs. Lil Bub actually had like a ton of problems. I'm not gonna like list them all out, but I think that's why she had died a little bit early. But you know, I hate to end the show on even more. But Grumpy Cat also passed away in May. So everybody's favorite pet social media stars are dropping like flies. 2019 is a bad year for them.
It's kind of crazy that they make this statement in this article. Cats have long been central to the lore of the internet.
I agree.
That's true. Yeah,
I
true
agree with
state.
that.
True.
Especially
Reasonably
Reddit.
true.
Especially Reddit. Yeah.
Let's fact check that.
Yeah.
True.
Zoom in on that.
Yeah, who are all the
Enhance.
original cats? So there's Little Bub, there's Grumpy Cat, which I think you stated he passed in May.
Grumpy,
So we
yeah.
lost Grumpy
Yeah.
Cat.
Like
And then
Cat
there's
from South
Piano
Park.
Cat. There's Piano
Piano
Cat.
Cat.
Oh,
Yeah,
Long
Piano
Johnson Cat. Yeah.
Yeah,
Lil
Nyan
Jon.
Cat.
Yeah, cat.
I know it's a cartoon, but
Sure. Yeah, cats are pretty important.
yeah.
The lore of the internet.
The lore, the way that it's phrased, the lore of the internet, I do have a little bit of beef with that. I'm not sure what that means. But the history of the internet or like the culture of the internet, I think would have been better.
The lore.
I don't know if internet has lore.
What about the
It's like a
attraction
real
of
thing.
the internet? I don't know.
I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, I'd accept that.
The lore.
Gumption.
I wonder why they didn't say gumption.
Lil Bub.
Well, that's a
They call-
bummer. It's
they call
always a
themselves
bummer
journalists.
when
Rip.
pets and animals pass.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird time because like we've never. I don't know. I guess maybe there were like pets on shows that were popular before. It's like you end up like caring about somebody's fucking pet, and you're like, what? Like,
Yeah.
why?
Do you want to know what's really weird? I don't know if this is true, but there's a TMZ article out now that he wants to send the remains out into space of Lil Bub
Mm,
and put him into orbit.
really?
And satellite track it at all times so people can track the feed and know if Lil Bub is, looking down on them.
You're
It
fucking
sounds
with me.
like
That's what
he's-
it's.
It sounds like he is
He-
now really using his cat.
Can you? Can
Sounds
you,
like he actually might be a giant piece of shit now. after
Well,
hearing-
this is TMZ. I don't know if I can trust that.
Can I
Yeah,
trust
that's your
that?
problem.
Yeah, there's your problem right
We're
there.
gonna have to check that the source there.
Fact check.
Fact check that.
All right,
Yeah.
I think we can wrap up there. What do you guys think? Good episode 40.
Yeah, sorry, I got a little upset. I don't like. Need to just take a deep breath here.
Guys
Got
named
real.
Phil.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer's really got you. Can't let him get to you, Josh.
People who ruined Microsoft for 1,000.
I should just be more communal
You should just be more communal.
and have more together experiences with everyone.
I don't see why. I can I go back to that? What is the
Sure.
different? What is? It's still a video game. How is it any different from any other video game? Just make it multiplayer and then it's communal.
I'm just
Or does he mean like you can't be in the same room like VR and you're gonna beat the shit out of each other? You got the headsets on and the controllers and you're like with your bud.
That's how
This
Lil
is-
Bub went out.
This is
you
in a
didn't-
good communal. And
You didn't read that, did you?
Is that what
He
happened?
got an elbow, yeah, straight to the back leg.
VR.
Took him
Death by
right out.
VR.
Yep. Blade and sorcery.
Like, would it be so difficult to throw in like an Xbox chat like PlayStation did, because that's obviously successful on PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? So, could you just do that and keep your mouth shut and be the end of it?
Maybe he just likes to hear himself talk.
I guess you could, but I'm tired of hearing myself talk. We're ending the show here. So
Yeah. All right.
thanks for listening to episode 40. Like I said at the beginning of the show, consider donating to us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Arcadian Media. Or even probably better than that, just leave us an iTunes review, a 5-star iTunes review. Helps out a ton. So thank you again, and we'll see you next week.